Well, good afternoon, guys. This afternoon, we're going to go ahead and continue on this International 4300 box truck, DT466. We're going to go ahead and continue where we left off last time. We have a headless block that I'm going to go ahead and kind of prep the surface, get all the old gasket material off and clean it off. And before we pull those pistons and liners out, make sure that that surface is kind of clean. So let me go ahead and start doing that. Here, guys, we have a whole bunch of old gasket material. I'm going to cover up all these ports. This is where the lifters go. I don't care about the pistons and liners. They're going to get removed. So I'm going to take a razor blade and kind of get the bigger chunks off. And then I'm going to use my little die grinder with a, let me show you, a little die grinder with a little 2-inch little abrasive little pad to, get it nice and shiny, nice and clean. So let me go ahead and time lapse this, guys, and well, let me get this clean. Well, guys, we got that surface somewhat clean. I mean, I'm not saying it's done. I just wanted to get as much of the junk off of it so that I can go ahead and work and not have all that debris falling everywhere. So let me go ahead and I'm not going to show you me removing the oil pan because it's real dirty down there. I don't want to mess up my phone, but I'm going to remove that oil pan, and I'm going to go ahead and loosen up those connecting rods. It's two bolts per rod. And I'm going to use a dowel pin, a wooden dowel, to actually push those pistons up and off of that block so that I can go ahead and then remove those liners. Well, guys, I went ahead and loosened the connecting rod in the bottom of the engine. It's a 16 millimeter 12-point socket. So now I'm going to go ahead and use that wooden dowel to kind of push that piston out of that liner. So I'm going to record this in time lapse, guys. I'm going to go under and I'm going to push that piston upward. You know what, let me leave it in true time. Hopefully it doesn't take that long. Bear with me, guys. You're going to see piston number one, cylinder number one, come up and out, hopefully. Let's see if we can get this one. Well, guys, there goes cylinder number one, piston number one. It's out of its bore. And voila. Rings are not broken on this one, but they are pretty worn. I will show you this once I get the rest out. So, well, let me go ahead and continue with these. I'm going to show you a little bit, and well, I'm going to record it on time lapse. I'm not going to post the whole thing, but I'll post little segments of me pulling out the rest of the cylinders, and then I'll show you guys what came out. We'll look at the rings, see how they look, and I'll show you another thing I found on the oil pan. Somebody worked on this unit, added silicone all over the place. So that little pickup tube, it's got a screen. It's got chunks of silicone stuck on it. So that's a no-no again. You don't use silicone on these engines. There's if the gasket's no good, you got to replace it. So let me go ahead and get whatever I can on time lapse, and then I'll post little segments of it. I don't want to bore you guys too much. Let me go ahead and continue. Well guys, there's 3 pistons on the third one. I'm not sure if the liner had a lip and it actually broke the ring while I was trying to push it up. I didn't feel that much force on it, but it could have been. And I found a little piece of the oil ring on this third piston. So this third piston, compression was low, so I'm going to say that the cause of it was broken rings. So there's 3 pistons. I'm going to go ahead and get the rest. I'm not going to record this. They're all the same thing. 16 millimeter 12-point socket at the bottom, holding that rod cap on there. Loosen these. Make sure you keep your rod, your caps on the same rod. Don't mix them up. If you have to, mark your rod and your cap within, let's say, number 1 for cylinder 1, number 2 for cylinder 2, and 3, and so on. I use a little whiteout pen, and I just put numbers on it. But if you want to use one of those stamping little dies, you can. But let me go ahead and get the rest, and then I'll come back and show you guys how we remove liners. I didn't bring my tool with me. I do have a liner extractor. I didn't bring it with me into the shop, so what I'm going to do is, these suckers are pretty, I mean, they're not that bad, they're not tight. So I'm going to use the same dowel pin, and I'm going to tap them from the bottom, and hopefully they pop out. If they don't, then I have to wait till tomorrow so I can get my tool and come back and do it. But we can give it a try. Well guys, there's 2 liners are removed, 1 and 2. Liners 1 and 2 didn't look that bad. Can't say the same for 3. This one looks a little beat up, so I'm gonna say the rings were broken because it's pretty scored. We'll see when we take it out. I'm gonna go ahead and yank that one out. Sorry I couldn't record, guys. My hands were all filthy and I didn't want to ruin my phone. So, but like I said, I mean, I'm using a wooden dowel. I'm hitting it from the underside, being careful not to hit those little oiling tubes, the one over there, right there. I don't want to bend those or break them. That's how your piston gets oil. It's get, oil bath. Those little tips spray oil from the underside and lubricate those cylinder walls so the piston doesn't run dry. You don't want to mess with those. But let me go ahead and continue yanking the rest of the sleeves, and well, we'll get to cleaning this sucker up, and hopefully we'll get to install those liners and get those piston heads back in place. I'll show you the pistons once I get the liners out. I'll show you everything. That way you guys can see what actually went wrong with this engine. Alright, let me go ahead and get the rest off. I'm not going to record it, guys. It'll take too much time, but I'll get back with you once I remove all of them, and I'll show you what the damage was. Well guys, brought everything inside the house. It's a little warm outside, so let me go ahead and show you some of the parts that we removed off of that truck, show you why they failed, or why I think they failed, and then I'll go ahead and show you all the parts that we're going to be replacing. I got the kit. I tore up the box, and well, let me show you. I tore up the box, opened it up, put it on top of my table, and there you go. Fleetwright FLTWK 1897395. That's a part number for this overhaul kit or in-frame kit. Let me go ahead and show you the rest of the parts. Well guys, it's just one piston that I removed. This is the worst one, had broken rings. Alright, this top ring was broken. Our second ring was seized and broken. Our oil ring, somewhat intact, but let me show you. It was missing a small little piece. Well, not missing, it was in there, but it was broken because it was seized. So this was, I guess you can say, our worst cylinder, which is cylinder number 3. Alright, we're not going to be using these pistons, so I don't care if I scratch it or whatever. I mean, this is going to get junked, scrap pile. I just wanted to pull these rings out, and as you guys can see, look at all that gunk oil. On this one, I could see some melting in there. It could be poor lubrication, I don't know. But I'm going to go ahead and pull those little oil little tubes in the bottom. This here is our liner for this cylinder. Liner itself doesn't look pitted, or it was not going to fail anytime soon. I mean, there's no rust spot, so it wasn't eating through to the piston. Our little O-ring or seal is still in good shape. It's intact, it's not cracked. It does have quite a bit of lip on the inside, so, well, we got these, they're new anyway, so we're going to go and replace those. Our rod bearings, this is the one that had the most wear. Rod is going to get checked. This is cylinder number 4. I'm going to have that rod checked. The rest were pretty decent. I brought in a few rod bearings. This is again 4. And the rest were somewhat decent. Alright, so all this is going to be garbage. We're not going to reuse any of these. This is all trash, including that piston. I'm only going to use a connecting rod and cap. Now, let me start opening the boxes and show you what comes in the kit. This one here is going to be oil pan gasket. These are hard plastic, so don't bend it or mess it up or nothing like that. I mean, there you go. Oil pan gasket. It's a one-piece plastic, so keep this one kind of straight. Don't let anything fall on it. There's that. This here is going to be head gasket, maybe a plenum gasket, exhaust gasket, stuff like that. I mean, they all have individual part numbers, but if you buy the kit, well, you don't have to worry about individual part numbers. Alright. Here we have seals, high pressure oil rail, turbo kit, injector O-ring kit, and here, of course, we have our head gasket. Alright, that's that for this box here. Oh, and just so you guys know, International does recommend doubling up on those little lifter wishbones, so here they are. Guys, these are not cheap. $53 a piece, guys. Just so you guys know, they're expensive as hell, but they do recommend it. I don't want to try and keep one. I'm going to do what's recommended. Hopefully this engine will last Patrick, you know, quite a few more years. So here in this box here, this is a piston ring set. Alright, our tops, our second, and then of course the bottom one is oil. I'll show you how they mark these, so which way it goes up and stuff like that when I install them. I just wanted to kind of unbox all this stuff and show you what we got. We got our rod bearings, main bearings. I'm not going to open every single box on these. You guys know what they are. Here we have the O-rings for our sleeves, gaskets for our intake, so on and so forth. It's just a whole bunch of little O-rings and gaskets for water pump, little 1-inch tubes, stuff like that. And the rest is, well, like I said, rod bearings and main bearings. So I'm going to leave those in there. Let's go ahead and move this off to the side. Now comes this heavy little box. We got here is, of course, our new head bolts, I don't reuse, and our new pins, piston wrist pins. There you go. And all the head bolts. Let's go ahead and move this out of the way. And here comes another one. Now we're getting to the heavier stuff or nicer stuff. This here is pistons. Guys, cam side labeled. So piston is always going to be installed this way. Well, let's say the engine is going that way. Cam is on this side. Arrow goes towards the cam. Mark goes to the cam. That's the way it goes. So we got 6 of these suckers. I'm going to go ahead and start installing them. I'll show you guys how I get these back on the connecting rods, how I get those little locks off, put the new wrist pins on, so on and so forth. We'll get those on the next video. And here comes the heaviest. This here is our liners. There you go, guys. There's a brand new liner. O-ring sits on this little crevice here. I'll show you how I install these. Nice little cross hatch on the inside. I mean, these suckers are ready to install, so we're gonna start having fun, because now comes the assembly. I know it's taking me a while, guys, to post another video, but I mean, I had to wait till I had parts. I want to show you guys everything that comes in the kit. The only thing that doesn't come in the kit is, of course, our valve cover gasket, which we did purchase. Doesn't come with filters. We got to buy those. Little gaskets here and there, O-rings, stuff like that. And of course, it doesn't come with timing cover gaskets. Those you have to buy separately. You have to buy both the front and the rear cover. Front cover, I believe, is like 450, 460 bucks, give or take. The rear cover, I believe it was like 250 or 240 bucks. So that's another 600 odd dollars. So, guys, this is what we're going to be putting back together. We're going to be using to put that engine back together. So we got a couple more days to go to finish this sucker up, but we're getting there. Well, guys, hope I gave you a decent description of the parts that I'm going to be using to install that engine. I did give you guys a part number just in case you guys needed to find one. We did buy this one at the dealer. They do have aftermarket. There's several companies that make them. I wouldn't go too cheap, guys, because remember, I mean, it takes a lot of work, and for you to have to tear it apart again is like, nah. So Fleet Ride is a decent one. We've used it in the past, and we've been doing good with them, so I decided to use it again. Well, guys, hope you liked this video. Next one's going to be about putting the thing back together, so I'll show you a lot more once we start getting this sucker back up. So, well, guys, thanks a lot for watching. Like and comment.